Hey everyone, this is going to be the first video I'm doing of a potentially 4 or 5 part series where I'm going to go deep in depth, you know what I mean, over my 4 favorite Silent Hill 2 characters. I was originally only going to do like just Pyramid Head or something, but I cannot pick one as a favorite. But the first one I'll be starting this with, because it's the first part of the series, of course, is who you play as, the main piece of man meat himself, James Sunderland. Now, I'm going to give a brief background to start this of the events that happened to him before the game. So with his wife Mary was like real. I mean, she was sick, bro. Like she was dying. I don't know what it was, but it beat the crap out of her. After they were married for a very long time, there was a lot of strain on the marriage, and during that time, he drank a fair bit, but mostly dealt with a lot of very complex emotions, a lot of sexual frustration, if I'm being honest with you. That's a theme in this game that I'll definitely bring up in the Pyramid Head video, but that's not today. Now, I'm just going to make this short and sweet, because it's not the meat of this. But long story short, he suffocated his dying wife with a pillow, which is arguably a mercy kill. Sorry, that's not why he did it. There's a moment in the game where he sort of says why he does it. Where he says, I wrote it down. This might be not. I wrote this quote off memory. If it's not 100% accurate, it is like one word off, because I'm on like my 3rd or 4th playthrough, and I'm deep in this game. He said, The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. And in response, his dying wife said, James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad? Absolute cinematic writing. What causes him to go to the town of Silent Hill is when he receives... once you're playing as him, this is years after his wife it's 3 years after his wife died. He receives a letter from her, even though she died 3 years ago, that is telling him to go to Silent Hill and to meet her in their special place, despite her, like I said, being dead for 3 years, and he killed her. Which he actually doesn't know for most of the game, because he repressed the memory and only remembers it in the end location, once you're all the way in the Lakeview Hotel. I will be talking about everything like you have at least a very basic understanding of Silent Hill 2, by the way. Now, there's a lot of layers to James. He is extremely deep. One of, I think, the best aspects about him is that he's completely borderline suicidal, but will deny it. In fact, I think it's called the In Water ending, he literally kills himself. He drowns himself in the lake in Silent Hill, or South Vale part of Silent Hill, just above the park. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Which is absolutely insane. By the way, if I'm looking over there, it's because I have notes written down. I'll be doing that for all the videos. Now, like I said, I mentioned his dealing with sexual frustration, and that does matter, believe it or not. It's really important, because that is why so many of the monsters look like that, you know? Like, why do you think Pyramid Head was made so sexy? He wasn't born like that because he wasn't born. Pyramid Head is James' guilt and want for punishment for the actions he's done and how he treated his wife in her final years. Made a being, made flesh. That's why, obviously, Pyramid Head never kills him. But instead, more so does things to upset, scare, otherwise torture him, if I'm being honest. Which is, I mean, that's some crazy writing, bro. But other aspects of his mental health inspire the monsters. I gotta take a sip of Pepsi because I've done it in most of my videos, and I would feel weird if I didn't do it now. For example, the lying figure. I'm saying this like you know what it is because I'm assuming you do. But the lying figure monster is obviously called that because it is how he viewed his life and his wife, I mean, in her final days, which she was a lying figure, obviously. But when you look at it, there's obviously a bit of less in the inspiration, like there is with most of them. But I'm not talking about that. I'm more so talking about the way it will throw up and how diseased it looks, the throw up and the monster. And it moves around like it's in constant pain. It looks like it's being restrained, which is kind of terrifying. It adds a lot to the game for just being like a cannon fodder monster. Not cannon fodder, but low tier, I guess you'd say. Or, for another example, I mean, there's so many examples I can give you. I'll give you an example with a different character, in fact. The Abstract Daddy boss fight. I'm going to describe it, but I assume you know what it is. But in case you don't, because I know my family members who watch this will not. It is basically, it looks like two people with one straddling the other with a sheet over them. And the sheet is tight under the mattress, so much so that they are connected to it. And it's more so, well, the thing is that Angela and James see it differently. I'm going to talk about how James sees it, because we don't know how Angela sees it. We don't play as her, we play as James. I just told you how it looks, of course. And there's a lot of meaning that can be taken from that. I've done a lot of research for this. I've seen a variety of meanings. But this is the one that is most connected to sexual frustration, for certain. But also the guilt he feels for feeling like that, for wanting to be with other women because of the condition his wife was in. James is not meant to be a good protagonist. He's not a good man by any means. He's arguably good. He's decent. I'll say he's decent. Maybe. He's not a good guy, if I'm being honest. And that's by design, because if James was a good guy, everything in Silent Hill would have never happened. If he was a happy man with great mental health who had a loving life that didn't die of, like, super cancer or something. I don't know what killed her. We never really get told, but she looks screwed, man. It just wouldn't work. Because say that all happened, Silent Hill 2 would have never happened. He would have never been there because he would have been home with his wife happy, and probably with a kid, if we're being totally honest. Like, ooh, I mean, I assume he wanted one. Now, this video is going to be a lot more brief because, in honesty, I more so made it to complement the Pyramid Head one, which I plan to make next, because I plan to talk about him a lot. That might be a 20-minute video. I mean, that might be a deep one. And I'm also going to bring up, I'm kind of going to bring up a few characters in here, but another one I have to bring up in relation to him is Maria. Maria is not Mary. She looks the same as Mary, a little more voluptuous and flirtatious. The developer said that, not me. But Mary to James represents a second chance with his wife. She is not necessarily a real person. She's of a creation of his mind, of Silent Hill, you know? Of the fog, I should be saying, not Silent Hill. Ooh, looked a little chopped for a second there. If you look into the behavior more, you'll notice, like I mentioned the Pyramid Head Torment earlier, he will repeatedly kill Maria and bring her back. Her name's Maria. I might have called her Mary by accident earlier, but her name is Maria. Just to torture him. Just to take his second chance away from him. Which is so incredibly cruel. Oh my god, man. That is like... Now, there is one ending. I think it's just called the Maria ending. Or it might be the Leave ending. I don't know the names of all of them exactly. Where he actually leaves and takes Maria with him. You actually have to get this ending by protecting Maria and visiting her multiple times in the hospital and in the labyrinth. Which sounds so weird if you haven't played the game. Like, that is so out there. Where he actually gets to have his second chance with what to him is his life brought back. Even when he meets her, you'll notice he's just looking at his face, because the animation in this game, I'm talking about the remake, because I've only played the remake, is so beautiful, and the voice acting and everything. You can tell he's very confused, and he's actually quite guilty for his feelings about this as well. Because, I mean, having a wife that dies and then wanting to be with a woman that looks like her is another level of replacement. Like, being with someone else after your wife dies is something. Being with someone that looks just like your wife after she dies, or 3 years after she dies, I mean. Ooh, man. Now, sorry if this video is a bit all over the place. I do not script them, and I make them because I do not know anyone else who likes Silent Hill 2 as much as I do and I can communicate with on a deep level. So I actually make it a talk to myself. That is besides the point, though. I'm sorry, there is something in my throat. I had a popcorn kernel in there. Another good detail about James is how, as you play the game, this also happens in games like Batman Arkham Knight, he will become progressively more disturbed, dirty, and otherwise disheveled as the game goes on. I mean, towards the end, you can really tell what he's really like, because he looks like he hasn't showered in a week, if I'm being honest. He looks like crap. He is going through it mentally. He really needs help, and he wants help. But the help he wants is his dead wife, so... I mean, come on, he ain't gonna resurrect your homeboy. Now, that's all we have to say about that, if I'm being honest. I'll probably mention him a few times in all the other videos, because his interaction with the characters I'll be talking about is extremely important, but it does not matter within the context of this necessarily. That is the end of that. One more good thing to mention, though. I don't know if this is 100% certain or not, if it's true, or if it's fan-fabricated, but I've heard some people deny it as well, that the letter from Mary, she's been dead for 3 years, that he got, is a complete hallucination of his mind, which isn't very far-fetched, because there is moments in the game where if you read it, it'll be something different, which is such an interesting thought, because then that means this was all in his head, which is not at all far-fetched. It's entirely possible within his mental health for this to just be a hallucination or some sort of awake dream. Another very nice detail of him is as soon as you open the game, in the opening cutscene, you see James in a park bathroom sort of thing, and he runs his hand across his face like this, which is actually, according to the developers, there's other things in the game like this, but I don't know them off the top of my head. It's common for him to check if he's dreaming when he's not, just because of what's happening. He cannot even tell anymore. This man is so destroyed through mental health and alcoholism. It is actually insane. Like, if I showed up to the mentally ill alcoholic competition and he was my opponent, I don't think I would win. In fact, I think he would beat everyone. I don't think I can think of another character or real-life person that would beat him in that. Pardon me. But, in closing, that's all I have to say about that, and I don't have that in the video. Goodbye. Nasty looking piece of crap watching this video. I want to beat the crap out of you, you know that? I'm gonna show up to your house, I'm gonna beat your dog. Craphead.